Greetings, programs. Welcome to Tarkoth Gaming. We are here and we're going to go over the job changes with the final patch notes. If you haven't checked out the previous video that released last Friday, that went over the preliminary notes, went over pretty much all the information there. Nothing much changed with these final notes except for the job changes. So we're going to go into that right now. All right, we're going to start right off at the top. Some healer role actions. Lucid Dreaming basically just got its role level bumped up. It was at level 24. Now you get it at level 14. So now it's available for you to get that MP back during the initial dungeons that launch. Gladiator and Paladin. Iron Will, that is their tank buff. And this is across the board for all tanks. Their tanking stance got reduced, recast time reduced from 10 seconds to 3 seconds. So that's a good change. They can pop in and out as needed. So Clemency, execution no longer interrupts action combos. Holy Spirit, execution no longer interrupts combo actions. So their DPS casting, if you're in the middle of a melee combo, you can actually do these DPS casting DPS actions and not interrupt a melee combo. Request Cat. The additional effect grants Blade of Faith ready when the effect of Restocat ends has been added with a duration of 30 seconds. So if something happens where you're away from the boss or the boss leaves, you still have 30 seconds to get those Blades of Faith combos in. You won't just lose them because you didn't use them up. You got 30 seconds, so that's awesome. Holy Circle, execution no longer interrupts action combos. Again, same as Holy Spirit and Clemency. Confiteor, additional effect restores own HP has been added, and this is across the board with Blade of Faith, Blade of Truth, Blade of Valor. They all got a HP restore, so much more survivability for paladins. They can heal themselves, which is pretty awesome. Paladin's probably one of my favorite tanks. I really like how they're progressing and their kit. Blade of Faith, no longer a combo action with Confiteor. Because with Restocat, the Blade of Faith comes from that now, not from Confiteor. So that's awesome. Additional effect to restore HP. Blade of Truth, restore HP. And Valor, restore HP. Divine Magic Mastery 2 now adds a healing effect to Confiteor. So that's just one of their role traits. So, or not role traits, so their own traits. Marauder Warrior, Defiance, again, their tank stance. Recast time reduced from 10 seconds to 3 seconds. Overpower, big change here. Area effect has been changed from a cone before you to all nearby enemies. So one of the downsides with Warrior is that if their initial AoE combo is they had to have all their targets in front of them in a nice cone. Now they can just get right in the middle of it and just hit Overpower and hit all the enemies around them. Inner Release. Stacks of Inner Release now only apply to Fell, Cleave, and Decimate. I haven't gotten that far with Warrior, but from what I've heard that you could use up some of those Inner Release stacks with other abilities, which made it kind of feel bad. This is a welcome change to those warriors out there that have been wanting something like this, I believe, since Shadowbringer. So additional effect, nullify stun, sleep, bind, heavy, and most knockback and drawn effects has been changed to grants inner strength, nullifying stun, sleep, bind, heavy, and most knockback drawing effects. So I guess it's going to be kind of its own little buff. So when Inner Release is done, maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm sure a welcome change that the stacks now only affect Fell, Cleave, and Decimate. Dark Knight, their tank stance reduced from 10 seconds to 3 seconds. Flood of Darkness, their AoE off global cooldown, their potency got a bit of a nerf, went from 130 down to 100. Dark Knight has been, for this expansion, been the highest DPS, so maybe they just needed a little bit of nerf in the AoE department, I guess. Blood Weapon now grants 5 stacks of Blood Weapon effect, and the duration has been increased from 10 to 15 seconds. This is also a welcome change. Having been playing a little bit of Dark Knight myself, it was always a matter of you got to cast Blood Weapon at the right time in the off global cooldown so you could squeeze in 5 attacks to get the most out of your Blood Weapon. Now that's just straight. You get 5 stacks. You always get 5 hits on that Blood Weapon, and you got 15 seconds to do it. So not as stressful to get that in there, and you will always know how many attacks you get. Stalwart Soul, now acquired at level 40, previously level 72. So that's a huge change. I don't have experience with this. My Dark Knight's only level 70, but that's a huge change, 32 levels. So you get that ability. Living Dead, huge epic change for Living Dead. This changes it from being the dumpster fire and the worst tank and vuln in the game to maybe being close to, if not maybe beating Holmgang. Let's read the effect here. The additional effect restores HP with each weapon skill successfully delivered or spell cast. Has been added with a cure potency of 1500. If an amount of HP totaling your maximum HP is restored before the Walking Dead timer runs out, the effect will now change to Undead Rebirth, with a duration carried over from the time remaining for Walking Dead. We're live on Twitch here, so chat here is saying, so now it's the second worst, maybe beating the second worst. So what this does now is when they go into Living Dead, if they hit 1 HP, if they're going to be killed by an attack, now they will have that 10-second timer of Walking Dead, but their attacks will also help heal themselves. If they get to that full health via their attacks plus other healing, they will change to Undead Rebirth, and their HP will still not go down below 1. So this is now a really nice change for Dark Knights. I really appreciate this because I just felt having a Dark Knight in there on Vuln was just the worst thing, because you put so much stress on the healers, especially if you didn't have a White Mage. Because no one else has really the benediction to top everyone off a Dark Knight. So this is awesome. I now don't fear having a Dark Knight in my raid battles or in dungeons. So this is pretty cool. I like it. Going to Gunbreaker, the only change they got is that their tank stance went from 10-second cooldown down to 3 seconds. Monk, Perfect Balance, can no longer be executed under the effect of any beast chakra. So I'm guessing this is just a change so that you don't accidentally hit it twice and you waste a Perfect Balance accidentally. That's the only thing that I can wrap my head around why this change was made. Dragoons, for the most part, all of their jumps, jump, high jump, elusive jump, spine shatter dive, and dragon fire dive all had their action animations been shortened. I think they're at like either 0.5 or 0.3 seconds, so it's really short. Dragoons in the history, man, they have had to deal with animation lock on this their core ability since the game release. So they're getting much needed love here, and happy for all the Dragoons out there. Also with jump and high jump, their actions now change to Mirage Dive while under the effect of Dive Ready. I believe that's to reduce button bloat, I believe. Rogue Ninja got quite a package of changes here. Hide now dispels the effect of Dopeton upon execution. Mug, the additional effect increased target's damage taken by 5% has been added with a duration of 20 seconds. So no longer are you worrying about getting your trick attack and getting the proper mudra done, so you can get trick attack done for that buff or debuff on the enemy. Now you just hit mug and it'll just be part of your regular rotation. Trick attack though, the additional effect increases target's damage by 5%, has been changed to increases damage you deal target by 10%. So it looks like this is going to be an additional debuff on the boss that only affects the ninja themselves. Sorry, reading chat here. So yeah, this is a personal DPS just for the ninja. So if they fail their mudra, they're only hurting themselves. They're not hurting the raid. A lot of their combos are getting buffed here. Potency has been increased on Aeolian Edge from 360 to 380, and the rear combo has been increased from 420 to 440. This brings them up a little bit, makes them a little bit more viable in the DPS category for all these abilities that they're getting. Shikuchi action animation has been shortened, so all the movement actions are getting their animation lock shortened, which is nice. Doton potency has been increased from 70 to 80, and its duration is being reduced from 24 to 18 seconds. So it's kind of a dull damage null kind of situation, but you don't have to worry about Doton not getting its full effect. Basically, you get 6 ticks, 18 seconds, and you get the full effect of Doton versus hoping that the boss stays where it is for a full 24 seconds. Hake Mujin Satsu, apologies for butchering names here. Combo potency has been increased from 120 to 130. Armor Crush being increased from 340 to 360, and Flank from 400 to 420. Bavakra, it's getting its damage reduced. This is one that I believe it's off global cooldowns, being reduced from 400 to 350, but Phantom Kamatachi being increased from 550 to 600. Melee Mastery, now acquired at level 74, previously level 84. I'm not exactly sure what this does because my ninja is still only level 60. So my chat was saying ninja was the lowest tier melee as of previously to this patch. So much needed buffs to rogue ninja, and hopefully they get some more love and raids for this patch. Samurai, big changes across the board for Samurai, because they're losing one of their key core identifying abilities. And that is down here. I'm just going to go down to see that real quick. Yeah, they're losing Hisatsu Kaiten, which buffed the next action ability. Its core mechanic was to, if you got your positionals, you got your gauge increase, and you use that gauge to increase the damage of your next attack. Usually, most often used on Ayajitsu. So they're removing that, buffing their damage pretty much across the board. Some of the things are getting lowered to kind of even things out, and the Ayajitsus are now getting automatic crits. So let's go over that. Hakaze potency increased from 180 to 200. Jinpu 100 to 120. Third Eye seeing its duration buff from 3 seconds to 4 seconds, so you get a little bit extra of a window there. Shifu increased from 100 to 120. Gecko potency 100 to 120. Combo 320 to 320. And rear combo 370 to 380. This also, all these changes will bring Samurai and make it top tier daily melee DPS. Making it, because it doesn't really have any utility to help buff the raids or dungeon parties, it should be at the top of the numbers, kind of like black mages. Hinganbada, damage over time potency increased from 30 to 45. Huge DPS increase for Hinganbada. Mangetsu, combo potency has been increased from 110 to 120. Kasha, potency increases again, 100 to 120. Combo 320 to 330. And flank 370 to 380. Chat saying it's a damage min. I mean, you used to have to flash it to get, but it no longer has utility anymore. Just make third eye 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah, they could, but they haven't. So you still have to make sure you use third eye at the right time. You just get, hey, you get 33% more window on third eye. Tenka Goken, area effect has been changed from a cone before you to all nearby enemies. If I'm remembering correctly, Tenka Goken is the second level of Ayajitsu. So hopefully they're changing the animation with that. Because I thought it was such a cool animation, that cleave and, lines going out, looks like cuts in the ground. So hopefully maybe they change the animation on that too. So you see cuts in the ground all around you. So Oka, combo potency has been increased from 110 to 120. Yukikaze, 100 to 120. And combo potency 280 to 300. Midari did get a slight nerf from 660 to 600. But it will now always land a critical hit. So you don't have to worry about it. They're kind of stabilizing the damage from Ayajitsu, basically. Evening out, normalizing. So you kind of always have an idea of what you're going to get. You're not going to get the really high highs or the lows. Meiko Shusui, ranged weapon skills no longer count towards the effect of this action. Satsu Shinten, now acquired at level 52, previously was 62. Potency has been reduced from 270 to 250. Definitely going to have to look into that. I think that's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Shinten is now going to be the primary gauge spender for Samurai now that Kaiten's gone. Hasutu Yaten, activation time has been adjusted to match that of other backstep actions. Kyuten, acquired at level 62, previously was 64. Kaishi Higanbana, potency has been reduced from 300 to 320. Kaishi Goken, down from 420 to 280. And now it's a all around you area effect and no longer a cone. And Kaishi Setsugeka, reduced from 990 to 600 and is automatically a critical hit. Shoha, potency reduced from 580 to 500. Ogi Namakiri, potency reduced from 900 to 800, now automatically a critical hit. And Kaishi Namakiri, down from the big 1350 down to 800 and will always be a critical hit. So overall, Samurais, I feel it's more of a normalization of their damage. Again, you won't have those high peaks, but you won't have those low valleys. You'll kind of have an even experience for your damage. Reaper. Never played Reaper, so I'm not sure about these changes, how they really affect them, but Hell's Ingress, duration of Enhanced Harp has been increased from 15 to 20 seconds. Animation lock has been shortened. Hell's Egress also increased from 15 to 20 seconds. Animation lock shortened. And Regress, animation lock has been shortened. So I'm guessing Reaper, these are the moves, I believe, that are for backing out and coming back in. All the movement stuff, again, is just for uniformity. All the animation locks, they're reducing down. So Archer, Bard, Repelling Shot. Range has been increased from 5 to 15 yalms, so you don't have to be in melee range to use Repelling Shot. You can kind of use it in that mid-range to still get out of AoEs and such. Big change for Bard. No longer requires the effect of Mage's Ballad, Army's Paean, or Wanderer's Minuet to activate Battle Voice. So that's pretty cool. it's kind of a small change, but it's nice to know that if you accidentally pop it when you don't have your song out, you still get an effect out of it. Wanderer's Minuet action now changes to pitch perfect upon execution. Okay, that's cool. Machinist got some slight buffs. In their regular abilities, Heat Blast increased from 170 to 180. I'm going to skip over this next one. Drill 570 to 580. Air Anchor 570 to 580. Pile Bunker 650 to 680. Crowned Collider from 750 to 780. And Chainsaw from 570 to 580. The biggest potency buff is to Wildfire. It's the one we skipped. Each weapon skill land is going to go from 150 to 200. So I think you can get 5 abilities in. So that would be a 250 point potency increase on Wildfire. Huge, big numbers to Wildfire. Definitely don't want to mess that up. I don't think this is going to be enough for Machinist to get where they're supposed to be. Again, unlike Dancer and Bard, they don't really bring any utility, so they should be the highest DPS of the ranged physical. I guess time will tell. I'm sure some Machinists will drop a comment down below and tell me how you think about these changes to Machinist, if they need a little bit more love or not. But yeah, hopefully this brings them up where they're supposed to be. Dancers, Standard Step, Emboyet, Entrechet, Jet, and Pirouette are all now categorized as weapon skills. I have not even unlocked Dancers, so some of these are going to go right over my head, but Cascade has been changed to 50% chance to granting Silken Symmetry. Fountain has been changed to 50% chance to granting Silken Flow. Windmill, 50% chance granting Silken Symmetry. Reverse Cascade can only be executed while under the effect of Silken Symmetry or Flourishing Symmetry. Blade Shower changed to 50% chance of granting Silken Flow. Rising Windmill can only be executed under the effect of Silken Symmetry or Flourishing Symmetry. Fountain Fall can only be executed under the effect of Silken Flow or Flourishing Flow. Blood Shower can only be executed under the effect of Silken Flow or Flourishing Flow. Technical Step has been now categorized as a weapon skill. And as a little side note, players can still receive the effect of Flourishing Symmetry and Flourishing Flow from the Flourish action. So it looks like it's a extra buff that you can get, Silken Flow and Silken Symmetry, in addition to Flourishing Symmetry or Flourishing Flow from Flourish. Not sure how this affects Dancers. Again, drop a comment down below. Let me know how this actually affects Dancers. Maybe it's just more opportunities to cast those abilities that need Symmetry or Flow. Chat saying it's built on stacks now versus procs. Okay. Again, I gotta actually dive into Dancer. I haven't actually done that myself. But again, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Dancer changes. Arcana Summoners. Looks like all the Ruby stuff having its recast time increased from 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. And those Ruby casts are now going to hit a fair bit harder. Ruby Ruin from 300 to 340. Ruby Outburst from 140 to 160. Ruby Ruin 2, 340 to 380. Ruin 3, 360 to 410. Ruby Right from 450 to 510. I'm going to finish with the Ruby stuff. Ruby Disaster from 170 to 190. And Ruby Catastrophe from 180 to 210. So it looks like the Ifrit phase of your summons, all the Ruby stuff, it's going to be a little bit slower, but it's also going to hit a fair bit harder. So awesome for them. Maybe that's to really differentiate between the Ifrit phase, Titan phase, and Garuda phase in their speeds. Big change for Searing Light. Action is now executed directly from the caster rather than via Carbuncle. So if you're in your Bahamut phase, you can still hit Searing Light, or when you immediately cast your summons for Ifrit, Titan, or Garuda, or even Firebird, you don't have to wait for your Carbuncle to come back to go into Searing Light. You can cast that pretty much at any time. Also, Rune Mastery 4. The increased potency of Ruby Right has been changed from 450 to 510. Red Mage. This is just being uniform in all the movement abilities. Displacement action animation has been shortened. White Mages. Huge changes. Stone. MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 200. Arrow. MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 200. And these are pretty much all the early game DPS abilities. Effect duration has been increased from 18 to 30 seconds to make their dots more uniform across the board versus all the other healers' dots. Stone 2, MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 200. Regen, MP cost has been reduced from 500 to 400, which is a welcome change to endgame White Mages and their mana efficiency. Cure 3, area effect raise has been ginormously increased from 6 to 10 yalms. Arrow 2, MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 200. Effect duration from 18 to 30 seconds. Asylum has had its range increase a little bit from 8 to 10 yalms. Secret of the Lily. This is their core mechanic for lilies. Time before a lily is added to the healing gauge has been reduced from once every 30 seconds to once every 20 seconds. So you're going to get those lilies a lot faster. You'll get 3 every minute instead of 3 every minute 30 seconds. Which also allows you to cast Misery more often too. Excuse me. Stone 3. Potency has been reduced from 230 to 200. And MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Stone 4, potency has been reduced from 270 to 260. Afflatus Misery, potency has been increased from 900 to 1,240. Huge increase in potency for Misery. So one of my primary issues with White Mage is that when they cast one of their other Afflatuses, either the single target or AoE, that takes away from their being able to DPS cast, which you're a healer, you should be healing. But then when you cast Misery, it was a net DPS loss. This will now change that to a net DPS increase. So with this plus the Secret of the Lily change, you're getting 3 of those lilies every minute. You're casting Misery a lot more often and it's hitting harder. So I'm hoping that White Mages feel the love on this. They're not being left behind. I still think that some of their core gameplay, I guess that they're the job that really has to focus on your on global cooldown healing versus everyone else's off global cooldown. So it's kind of a playstyle issue there. But this is a much needed change. I'm happy that they got this DPS buff, and hopefully, we'll see a lot more healing from them. Liturgy of the Bell. The additional healing effect of the remaining sects of Liturgy of the Bell will now be triggered when time expires or upon executing this action a second time. So kind of like Panheima or Haima from Sage, if you don't use all of the Lily Bells, they'll just pop and you'll get a big chunky healing. Or you can pop it early like Astro and just get it when you need it. Scholars. Ruin. MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Embrace. Range from which party members can be targeted has been increased. So that's good. The fairy can now cast from farther away. I still like to place my fairy in the middle of the room. But now they can hit the edges of the room pretty much no matter. They don't say exactly how far, but hopefully they can, from the middle of the room, they can hit pretty much anywhere, hopefully. Bio MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Bio 2 from 400 to 300. Sacred Soil has had its radius increase from 8 to 10 yalms. That's probably a nice change. I still prefer Sage in that they can run in, pop it, and people can move about where they need to. They don't have to be converging on a specific spot for the soil. Expedient. Effect duration of expedience has been reduced from 20 to 10 seconds. I feel that this is probably a pretty good change. Having sprint for 20 seconds is absolutely broken. And in no scenario should they be making any ability. They shouldn't be making content revolve around one ability. So having a sprint be needed for a piece of content, unless they're going to put it on all the healers. I'm glad that they changed it down to 10 seconds because 20 seconds is pretty broken. Astrologian. Combust. Effect duration has been increased from 18 to 30 seconds, again to make dots unified amongst all the healers. Sage. Dosis. MP cost has been reduced from 400 to 300. Again, this is early Dosis. This isn't Dosis 2 or Dosis 3. Soteria now grants 4 stacks of the Soteria effect. Effect potency has been increased from 50 to 70%. I'm trying to remember, being a Sage main, I believe Soteria is the buff that increases what your Cardia heals. So now you'll just have 4 stacks of it. It doesn't say a time limit on it, but that you're also getting a bigger heal is also appreciated. Adder Sting. Now gain maximum stacks of Adder Sting upon entering an instance or restarting an instance battle. Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Having to do prep between every single pull just to make sure you have your Adder Stings was kind of a pain in the butt. I was a little bit used to it because I would do big Adlo spreads before pulls on Scholar. So having to do pre-pull prep on Sage wasn't out of the norm for me. But now that I don't have to do that, is much appreciated. I would just always have 3 Adder Sting at the beginning of a pull. Thank you. I appreciate it. New traits have been added. Ninja, level 84, melee mastery 2, increases the potency of spinning edge to 220 and gust slash to 160. Samurai, level 66, way of the samurai, increases Hakaze, Jinpu, and Shifu. Level 84, samurai is getting way of the samurai 2, increasing potency of Gecko, Kasha, and Yukikaze to 120. And again, the following action was been removed. Satu Kaiten. I'm not sure how I feel about this because I don't have an endgame samurai. From what I've heard and read, samurais are not happy about this because it really kind of changes their core gameplay. It was why you wanted to make sure you hit your positionals as a samurai, so you get your gauge and make sure you have Kaiten for your Aiojutsus. Now it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel good. Now just the gauge is just a DPS spender. Missing your positionals now isn't as a huge a deal as it was before. I mean, it still sucks to miss your positionals, but having enough gauge was so important to the gameplay experience of Samurai, so you get your Kaiten, so you get those big hits. But now it's just kind of baked in because you're always going to crit on them. So again, if you're a samurai, you're not liking these changes, drop a comment down below. Love to hear your thoughts. But that is about it for the job changes here. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, all at Tarkoth Gaming, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and massage that like button, drop a comment down below, and hit subscribe for more content. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. End of line.